I've been with this company for 31 years. I started when Blake Roney was our CEO and founder and CEO. Steve Lund took it over I call that era 1.0. Steve took it over in 2.0. Truman took it over in 3.0. Rich and I have been kind of sharing 4.0. I've been in the CEO spot now for just over 3 years. And to your point, Dan, about every 10 years, there's got to be a natural law of business that opportunity swells about every 10 years. You know it because you've been in two of them. You've created two of them. The first one with Pharmanex and our biophotonic scanner movement that you and Gary and a whole bunch of people, I hate to always start
Yeah.
mentioning Paige and others, have just been amazing to create that wave that we all globally benefited from. And then we had age-lock come in, and that wave was going. But to your point, over the last 4 or 5 years post-COVID, and I will say COVID was a marker in time that I think for every business, I don't care what kind of business you are, your technology, your consumer goods, your auto sales, it just changed the world. It changed human behavior for a period of time. And by the way, I think the world is tilting back towards human to human. We'll get into
Yes.
that a little bit later. But I feel you, man. The last few years, I got down last year's, 3 years of kind of difficult as the post-COVID hyperinflation came on, China pressures came on, Korea economy. I mean, they go into martial law in Korea for crying out last year. We haven't seen that in decades. Just craziness around the globe. And every one of these momentum waves and curves every problem creates an equal or greater opportunity. We've
Yes.
had so many problems the last 3 or 4 years, full of opportunities, but something shifted. My own energy, your energy, I think the cosmos, the world's just on an optimistic view. I mean, I think and I'm not getting into politics at all here. I just think we can either look at the world as this big, or we can look at the world as everything beyond and the universe, and that's how I'm choosing to look at it. And you know what? It's starting to shape up that way. I mean, we did that podcast or together. We did that town hall with Team Elites around Prysm and some of the new technologies coming out. We're about to do, in fact, I had a call yesterday, a global call with a few leaders from around the world. And I said, listen, if you're ready to run the next 10 years, you will create a lifetime of opportunity and value for your families. And I really do believe that right now, for
So
sure.
let's talk about the story, because a lot of
Okay.
people today, I know that for me, that first trip to the University of Utah, seeing this thing in a casket, right? This thing, all this hugeness that you guys put a video out on, if I recall, and you showed the history and the progression. And I always maintained that the science was so good, the opportunity was so cool, but we couldn't get it to take from the lab to the
Hmm.
portability, to your point. And so I
Yeah.
have everybody going out and buying hockey pucks, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
everywhere I go, I just simply say, can you imagine now that you can put your finger right there, 273,000 light emissions, and we see a score in 15 seconds on your phone. So
Yeah.
talk about your own kind of aha moment when
Yeah.
maybe Steve or Joe brought this idea to you and said, whoa, we can actually
Yeah.
do this and
Yeah.
take the number one selling product in the world and make it
Yeah.
available to everybody, every yoga class. I'm on a plane, I'm in
Yeah.
a Starbucks, no matter where I'm at now, put your finger right here. We can
Yeah.
measure your health.
Well, listen, persistence is the mother of all because I'll tell you the story about this, Dan, but and you all know, and those of you that have been involved in New Skin Enterprises for years and years know that New Skin is the antioxidant leader. There is no other company on the planet that has the mounds and mounds, there you go, G3, of science, clinical research, substantiation, products that Nu Skin has over literally 35 years with the invention of VitaLife and VitaPack and LifePack, all the way through the journey 2004, as you said. The science, Nathan comes walking in with some crazy plan and science out of the University of Utah, top medical and engineering school in the country, says you've got to come take a look at it.
Yeah.
And I realized that we had these unbelievable supplements that I had been using by that point in my life for 9 years. And we had an ability to measure whether or not supplements actually worked. But as you said, he wills it in. There's no way, there's no portability on this. But I said, hey, let's go for it. I was a youngster. I was just heading out to Europe at the time to run our Europe business. And I said, let's see what this thing does. And you guys built it from that machine, smaller, smaller, but down to wheeling those. You remember those, Dan, those Pharmanex bags,
Oh
the
yeah.
OGO bags with the scanners, wheeling them all over Europe. I see you guys flying in. In fact, you and I had a whole discussion on yoga the first time I met you, and you're wheeling your Pharmanex bag through, I don't know, it was Amsterdam or somewhere. You're taking over the world. And I watched you, and I watched thousands of our leaders around the globe. And I then moved to Japan, and I saw the amazing impact. But there was always one limitation, which was the technology was not what I call duplicatable. And I was on a call the other day, innovate to duplicate. That was the term that
Yes.
came out, is innovate to duplicate. And that's
We're
exactly
gonna
what I
have everybody
saw.
write that in chat just so we can pause for a second. If you've joined us late, he's Ryan Napierski, the CEO of Nu Skin. I'm Dan McCormick, the host of Mastermind Training Circle.
That innovate to duplicate idea was exactly what I saw as the limitation of the biophotonic scatter. Number one, the thing costs a couple $1,000 cost of goods to
Right.
make. Number two, it was based on technology that the photo tubes, and I'm not the scientist or the engineer, but we're talking hundreds of dollars for this science in one photo tube. And the latest version of this S3 requires four of them. And then you've got the digital, you've got all of this experience. And so, anyways, fast forward to 2019, Steve Hatchett comes on. He takes over as global chief product officer, working hand in hand with Dr. Joe Chang as our chief science officer. And Steve walks in, he says, Ryan, I've been out watching Nu Skin for 30 years. For 20 years, I've seen this science. And he said, speaking of the scanner, he said, Ryan, we have got to reinvent this technology. We cannot let this die. It is too unique, but we're running out of parts. Literally, the parts that were required. And I said, Steve, I have seen people try to duplicate with this tool, but because it's so expensive to make and to gather the parts, we can't duplicate it. It can't get where it needs to be. So I just I didn't dismiss him, but I said, Steve, come back and talk to me when you can get that technology in everyone's pocket. And that was my last statement, like literally 2019. So lo and behold, 3 years later, Steve comes back. Well, maybe I'm 2021 by this point. I have COVID fog, but
Yeah.
call it about 2 years ago. Steve comes walking into my office, and he pulls out of it. He says, Ryan, I did it. We did it. We did it. Steve never says I. He says, we did it.
Yeah.
We build this, and he pulls this puck out of his pocket, and it's exactly that. It's a puck. It has a little window, and it's got this light going back and forth, right? The scanner light. And it looked like a toy. I said, Steve, I want to see if this works. He said, put your finger on it. 15 seconds later, it read my score. I haven't been scored or scanned in about a year. It read my score within 1,000 points of my current score. And, scores go up and down. And I said, how did you do this? So he sits me down and he says, Ryan, we have been working with Dr. Burgesson and BYU to take 26 million scans over 20 years, over 15 million people scanned. We've taken this data. We've been utilizing a new technology, light spectral technology, that will read, to your point, over 200,000 scans in 15 seconds. And we have gotten the standard deviation within X% of the current. Since that time, by the way, they've dialed it even more. And he said, and Ryan, we got it to a point where every person on the planet can afford this technology.
Wow.
And it literally blew my mind. So the next challenge was, I said, Steve, you got to be able to manufacture tens of thousands of these. So don't come back to me till you have 10,000, the ability to manufacture tens of thousands a month of these. So again, fast forward to this past summer, he comes walking into my office and he says, Ryan, we've got our manufacturers going. We've done all this, and we announced it on the Team Elite call. We're able to get a few hundred to our top producers at the end of this third quarter around September.
Wow.
Globally, I'm speaking, we're going to get a few thousand by the end of December this year, and then we're building to a global launch in the first half of 26. This is going to go around the world, and this is the time.
This
This
is
is the time.
exciting. I mean, you can just see Stephen Moore putting obviously things in the screen right here. I'll put that back up about, award the most innovative company. So innovate to duplicate feels like it's right on, right? Brenda, obviously talking about how incredible the story is. I love seeing your enthusiasm for this because as you talked about, you go through these cycles and you look at, the world can beat you down when you're looking at, okay, what did this country just do to compensation plans and what we can say? And what did this country just do to say that ingredient that grows on a tree, they don't allow us to sell it in this country?
Right.
I mean, there's some of the weirdest things in the world that we see. Yeah. But what's so exciting about this is it gives me the feeling that we are going to usher in, and I maintain that every time a network marketing company sees a new generation, a next wave, there's new number one distributors in the world. I believe perhaps the biggest distributor that's ever been sponsored, not in the company yet. I believe that we're going to see tens of thousands of people join the company that have never even thought about doing direct selling or network marketing, mission-driven entrepreneur, influencer type stuff. They're going to see the picture because it's portable. And like you said, it's the difference demonstrated in just a matter of seconds, right? So it's an exciting time. And so the whole building's feeling it. The country's starting to feel it. The globe is feeling it. And so it's just awesome to have you on here today. And maybe give us any other thoughts that you might think of, because, one of the common things that people talk about when it comes to the science, and one of the little nuggets that you guys have dropped, whether it's Joe Chang or Steve or you or whoever, is there's going to be a time in the future when you can put your finger on there. And because we have ML and data mine, all the machine learning stuff, that we're going to be able to go beyond just carotenoids.
Yeah, no, this is the beauty of utilizing the reflectance technology that they've with using light spectroscopy. I'm not a scientist, because to your point, Dan, we're starting to. So we're importing all of this data, and by the way, not just data from the biophotonic scanner, Dan. We have over 25 million data insights coming in from the LumaSpa.io and from RenewSpa.io. This is going into a total input-output database. And then with our partners at Full Power, who run, by the way, some of the biggest AI-driven algorithms in the world, some of the biggest brands that that you sleep on, where are powered by these guys. I had a call with them last weekend. They're assembling this data, and then every scan that comes in, they're correlating it across other dimensions of the nutritional world. And when I say nutrition, Dan, that's the other thing I want to be clear about here. If it is made up of a cell in your body, it is impacted by oxidative stress. So I've always looked at the scanner as what's telling me what's going on inside my body. That's not complete. It is going, the color of your hair, your skin, the wrinkles, the lines, the muscles that are tissue, weight management, metabolism, every aspect of the human body is made of cells, and every aspect of the body is being impacted by the toxins in the world, right? And by the way, one of the greatest toxin producers in our body is actually our own metabolism, right? The mitochondria in our cells. And so the reparative process that's needed. And so we're now starting to call it the antioxidant rainbow. It doesn't matter what your body is experiencing or if you're trying to improve wrinkles on your face, lines on your face, it will be improved with antioxidants. And so this is why the collagen products, the G3, we're going way beyond just ingestibles here. We even have correlation studies between LumaSpa.io and collagen, as you know, because it's all affecting the same thing. So to bring the holistic wellness market together and be able to measure the source of it, which is antioxidants, is great. But to your point, the way the patents are actually filed on this is around what are called analytes. This is any micronutrient any micronutrient that the
Wow.
body ingests is what we've patented. And this is
Wow.
really important because you have big, big, big players. Samsung just announced 2 weeks ago. There are big players that know this. But to have a 20 plus year head start in the scanning technology, a 30 plus head start in the actual products that improve it. I mean, the value's not in the puck. That's just the thermometer, right?
Right.
The value is the solutioning that we're the only ones that have both. Nobody else has the solutions with the thermometer. I mean, it's the turkey and I mean, I don't know what the right example is here, but it's just the possibilities are endless. And then the last thing I'll say about it, Dan, is we're already working on Gens 2, Gen 3s. I mean, we're going to be wearing them, ringing them, like there's all kinds of opportunities. I think this is just the start of it. Dan, I mean, honestly, I just use this example. Maybe I'll post it at some point to you. You can send it along, but I likened it to surfing, which is it's a passion of mine. There's a book called Barbarian Surf. And in that, the author, he grew up surfing, says, if you don't learn to surf by the time you're 13, you're going to spend the rest of your life learning to catch a wave. So, Dan, I thought about this, and this is exactly true. When you're surfing, any of those of you that have surfed, right? And the wave analogy I know has been overutilized, but I got to get really tactical here. Because what happens when you surf, you sit on that board facing out to the water and you watch the swell coming in and you watch the color of the wave at the center of the wave, in the middle of that wave. And when the
Interesting.
color of the wave is dark enough, what that means is there's enough momentum that it can carry a body with it. So as soon as you see a wave that's dark enough in the center and has that right slope, you turn your board and you lay down on that board. And Dan, you start to move on that board, but you don't move too early and you don't move too late. You got to be in motion, because as soon as that wave gets about 10 yards out, not hits you, if the wave has already hit you, you've lost the wave. As when that wave is 10 yards out, you start paddling with everything you've got. And then what happens is that back of your board starts to lift. As soon as you feel the back of that board lift, you dig with everything you've got. And when you think you've caught the wave, you dig 3 more times with everything you got. I do 2 arms because you can't catch it. And as soon as that happens, you are on that bottom slope of the wave, and it carries you. And again, 10 seconds of work gives you a minute of the most beautiful ride you'll ever have. If you wait until that wave hits your board, your body is not in motion. You're not in momentum. There is no way you're going to accelerate fast enough to catch the wave. So what does that apply this? We're launching this in 2026, launching globally. This is 10 yards out. This is
Yeah.
10 yards out. The beauty of this one, though, Dan, is we already have S3s. Get your S3, get scanned. We already have a supplement stack between LifePak, G3, Nano, Youth,
Meta.
Collagen Plus, Meta. We can keep going down the list. Lumis Bio. I mean, there's all kinds of. Get your supplement stack going. Get scanned. Get your supplement stack, because that is the 10 yards out. Start building now so that your organization, your team is ready to go. But those who wait until the wave hits, until 2026, I'm sorry, the momentum is already going to be past you. It will. And so we got the tools, we got the S3. Dan, something I'm going to be talking about with you, with Gary, with Steven is, and I threw it out on a call yesterday. I want to start a global tool in April, but we're going to be 5 cities. We're going to grow it to 10. We're going to go back
Love
to
it.
that, Dan.
Love it.
We're going to be willing scanners, but to get every single person scanned on an S3 so they know their baseline, get them on their supplement stack so that when this puck comes out, your team is ready to go. You guys have been primed.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at.
Well, it's an exciting thing. And I mean, we've gone through different waves and everybody's excited for the surf. Everybody wants to be 10 yards out. Everybody wants to be paddling. Walter wants to hit the rocket launch pad. There's a lot of things here. And I know that your time is really valuable and you're on the road and doing things with the family here today, but this is super kind of you to take the time. I know you just did your earnings call with the Wall Street folks the other day, but this is the team of people right here.
Yep.
This is the people that make things, there's a book that you and I are both familiar with, and that is 10X is easier than 2X.
2X. Yeah.
And what's amazing is I feel like the industry has always been in 2X mode for years and years, other than the COVID window when everybody had to go to Facebook. And now I think you've got a tool, and a tool that corresponds with the mind. And we know that, you've heard me say it, no margin, no mission. People see the mission and they can feel that the margin is going to be unbelievable. So what a great opportunity.
Scan the world. No, and Dan, to your point, the people on this call are the people that will make that 10X. I firmly believe it. You talked about social media, Dan. What we've learned is social media is a medium, right?
Yes.
Social media is not an opportunity. Social media is a medium. And imagine what we're going to do with the extensivity of social media and Prysm. I mean, it's the combo of everyone on this call. I'm just so excited. So anyways, thanks for having me on, Dan. I'd love to come back anytime.
Let's do it.
But this is rolling real time. So
Let's go.
let's go.
We'll look